Hopefully this is working correctly.
Yeah.
Let me mute him because he's very talkative and I appreciate his input, but I'm doing some match analysis. So yes, hello. I am SSB Stu. Let's watch my matches, and I've never done this yet. I feel like I could teach people a lot about Mycale, but I just haven't done it. So I'm gonna go through these matches and see what I can teach everybody. So the first thing first, just like going over Mycale's strengths and her game plan. She's got 4 different projectile moves that can all come from different angles and serve different purposes. So she's got a good long range game, but she also has a decent 2B that is actually pretty good range. So you need to use that in close range. The problem is that you can't really use all of her zoning tools just in neutral. You have to create situations where they're useful. So the best way to do that is to get a knockdown. Well, how do you get a knockdown as Mycale? Well, it's actually pretty easy because there's a lot of different ways you can do it. The first way is just landing a super, which you just do like a close combo into super, like 2A, 2B into super, and you're good. The other way you can do it is just by landing a C normal, which actually is one of your best punishes, like mid. If you can hit with a C normal instead of using meter, it's a good way to get a knockdown and be a little cheap in the process. Throws and reflectors are the other 2 ways of getting knockdowns, and that means that your throw and reflector game both need to be really good, because every time you get one of those, you get to start your game plan. So, what does it look like when you get your game plan going? Well, we just saw an example there. Just did like thrown to spear. So, dive kick, throw. So once you get a throw, you recover before them. So you want to put out a spell as soon as you can. Basically, every time you're plus by like more than 10 or 15, you can throw out a spear and it'll pretty much hit them, or like force them to block at least, and you're still plus. You're not plus very much at that point, but you are plus. If they start reflectoring the A spear, you can just press C spear and it'll be a reflector mix-up that'll get you a juicy combo. So anytime they reflector on wake up, you get that. You just have to like be aware of what your opponent's defensive options are. If they're using a lot of reflectors, then you need to change up the timing of your spear and your mace in order to reflector bait, and then you can get juicy punishes. But if they're just choosing to block a lot, then you just have to go for shield break conversions like I've been going for in this match. But yes, so you see every time I throw him, there's a spear behind him, and that's because in this matchup, since he's just blocking everything, I'm just looking for extra guard bar and chip damage. And in this situation, though, now he's starting to reflect. It's time to start mixing up your options. Something I want to mention here is like, since I have this mace up, I'm predicting that he's not going to like get close or get into range at all, and he's just going to instead sit back and do defensive options. So that's why, like here, I threw 3 projectiles at him. He did an amazing job reflectoring that, and then I'm just like, he's not really going to approach me. A long range Fenrir at this point gets to combo into other stuff. So like Fenrir is one of those moves that like normal projectiles, the longer it stays on the screen, the more plus you are. So if you hit it towards the end of its life, you're going to be able to combo into a spear like you saw there. And then yeah, so the other like important thing that I've been working on lately is that B fire. This B fire right here, at the end of this sequence is just like I've realized that since they can't jump into range until they clear that fire, it's actually a lot safer than I thought it was. So I've started using it just to pester people who are walking on the ground at that range. All right, and now here we are with me versus Vola. Vola was a very good player. He, or I think she, I'm not sure. Vola, like, just actually really adapted well to my game plan as Mycale. So I want to point out some of that stuff too. Let's see here. So right here, I have a tendency to go for this, so you don't really need to go for it. You can just do cross up attacks. I like pretty much like to go for throw after in this situation, but you could like do launcher or whatever. And but because Perfecti is just a little bit floatier than most characters, I was just mistiming it every time. So yeah, I'm trying to get started here. Anytime you could get a punish situation, like off of, like if you'll look at this right here where I get this reflector, she's going to land at 214B range, and I think if I just do it now, it'll actually punish at this point. But I decided to go for the A spear here instead, which is just a little bit slower. So she was able to see me at that range and disrupt it. And yeah, this is the real problem of Mycale, that like if you've played against me enough, you know it's just this dive kick. So this range right here where like dive kick starts coming alive right after this knockdown, that's the scary like positioning that you don't want to be in against Mycale. Why is this staying on the screen? This is messing up my mojo. There we go. So yeah. So one thing that Vola is doing really well here, and it's kind of a benefit of the character, is that I'm not getting much, like, I'm not able to dive kick as easily as Mycale against Perfecti because of how good her anti-airs are and how her dive kick interacts with mine. So it's usually unfavorable for me to try to dive kick a lot. But and then here Vola's actually doing a great job just like pestering me with these beams. You can't really reflect beams. Most projectiles you can reflect on reaction, but Freya and Beam are kind of like the exceptions where they're too fast for you to really react to. So there's a lot of matchups with Mycale at these full screen situations come down to like staying out. If you're actually full screen, you can't be hit by grounded Freya. So as long as you're not crouching, people who are crouching are just a little bit wider, and like certain other characters. But like if you just stand at full screen, you won't get hit by full screen Freya. So like that's like an interaction that you need to be aware of when you're playing as a zoner against Mycale, or honestly anybody. If you're at full screen, the only thing I can really do to you is like mix up my spear timings and mace timings, and like I guess the other three moves, Fenrir, the spear, and the mace, will force you to react a little bit, but if it's just minor chip you're taking, it's fine anyways. It's the only, if you get hit out of trying to zone me, that like you're running into problems. So if you're plus as Mycale, just throw a spear every time. Like you'll see this when I anti-air people a lot. Just throw a spear every time. It forces them to respect you a little bit. And then like once they start to try to reflector it or they respect it too much, you can go in there and do other stuff. Or you just take them getting pushed at you as a mix up, do a dive kick to maintain your plus and go for a grab or whatever. Like building the situations out from being like plus to plus to plus to plus is the actual goal. And in order to do that, you need to analyze what your opponent's doing to get out, because if they're jumping a lot, then you can just like throw maces and B and C Fenrir's out to prevent that. And that'll make you plus every time. And then if they're just sticking to the ground and doing other stuff, use your C normals. Like you have to really be reactive to what your opponent's doing. So right here, I'm just running away because she actually beats me up close. It really sucks, but like this is honestly the biggest reason why Mycale loses to Perfecti is how their C normals interact. So Mycale needs to, like, because of how because it's one of the like you need to get a knockdown in order to start your game. In order to get a knockdown, you need a C normal or one of those other things I mentioned. And C normals, just like losing in that mid range is such a big detriment. And it's not like long range is good for you either as Mycale, because Perfecti has the beam that is unreactable. And so like she can bring that out at any time just to deal a little extra chip. And then she also just has a normal fireball. Although keep in mind that the fireball gets destroyed if Perfecti takes damage. You can destroy her fireballs by hitting her. But like, yeah, see that range where she's pressing B over and over again? That's the bad range. You don't want to be in that range. But like in the corner, there's nothing you can do about it. There's so many bad ranges for Mycale in this fight, so that's why I swapped off of her. Perfecti just has better buttons for the matchup. And then here we go. I switched to Fritz. Fritz has I just want to go over this just a little bit because just for Vola's sake. So I was just going to talk about Mycale, but I'll talk about Fritz instead. Something important about all this situation from this first life. See, she missed the tech there, and that let me get the meaty 5C. You can't miss a tech against Fritz. She missed another tech from a 5C. That means I get a throw. She missed another tech. I can do anything here. I could do 4C. I could do all sorts of B teleports. Every knockdown that Fritz gets, you need to tech it. It is an absolute imperative. And the same thing goes for Mycale and Perfecti. Because they have these like extra projectiles that they want to set up on top of you, the more plus they are, Mycale and Perfecti, the more plus you are, the better it is. If you could get to like plus a full second and a half, Mycale would be able to set up 3 spells and meaty you with 4 hits or some BS. So, yes, the more plus you are, the better. So you have to tech the knockdowns, so that way you're in the fight for more time. This is also something that's really important. You need, when fighting against Perfecti, you need to keep in mind these these missile timings, because you see here, she didn't expect that I would parry that, so like I got some damage, and then great anti-airs. Actually, I was for sure thinking I was going to hit that. I'm not sure if that was a punish. I wanted to see if this was actually a punish here. This is, again, like, the best way you can punish as Fritz is just by doing 2C. I think that was a punish. Oh, I missed my jump in there. And then there I just went for the chip. I figured that she wouldn't react because she's been overwhelmed by all the other options I've been presenting. So, good air throw. I'm liking the just keeping your spacing. But yeah, that C teleport was just kind of crazy. Yeah, so you can't safe jump. Meteor said that. You can meaty when somebody does a BC teleport through you like this. The best thing you can do is usually meaty them, but I was just a little bit too far for that. What might have been better is just to set up Ransmix, the delayed projectile. Just as soon as you see them, as soon as you see the BC teleport come out, you just go Ransmix. Although, now I think about it, you see the super flash, you don't know what he's doing. It could be level 3, so when you see the super flash, I guess it's hard to react with that, so that's maybe not the best idea. And you're also in midair when I start it, but by the time you land, yeah, probably just Ransmix facing facing where he is now, yeah, and you'd be fine. And then yeah, so once again I'm landing these 5Cs. I keep rewinding too much. But yeah, so that one only came because of the trade, that meaty 5C. You don't get just 5C off of knockdowns for free as Fritz. Your opponent has to miss a knockdown, or it has to be a weird situation like that where I traded with them. But yeah, good shit to Vola. Looking for me versus Scrub Cybot next. Alright, here we go. So, Mycale, Fritz again. So, I'll just say a few notes about this matchup. So, Fritz's buttons reach from too far away for you to rely on 214A, like A Freya, to keep them away. You need to, B Fenrir is very good in this matchup. B Fenrir is good against any character that their jump arc doesn't go crazy high. Like, for example, it doesn't work that well against powered up Psy and or powered up Wei and Psy. Like, those characters can jump over B Fenrir, so it's not as good. Same thing, Murakamo just has a fast jump, so it's also not as good. You really want to protect the B range, like B Fenrir, B Mjolnir, because that's where he's going to be swinging his sword from to deal tons of damage. He can also swing it from the A range, but typically, if you keep the B range safe, you'll be fine. Whenever you're in close range, you need to pre-pressing buttons. Like, you need to every time you're plus, you need to like press 2B or something. Because, or whatever is useful at that range. Like, and yes, of course, since it's Fritz, going to the air is very good. Like, there's always the risk that you're going to get JB'd, but like, it's just, Fritz has so much less control over the air, so you got to really take to the air. Anytime they give you like full screen, you just take advantage of it. So the reason, one of the nice things about a Mjolnir in this situation is that if you walk backwards, it'll become B Mjolnir basically. Like, it'll just be further away from you, so it'll cover that range, and that way you still get to reflect. And like, just having your B and C spells is kind of fine. So very often I'll just hold down a Mjolnir and like walk backwards in a matchup, and that'll just mean that like I have a little bit more control further away from me while still having like B and C spells to work with, which means I can still do the Freyas relevant for their distance. But yeah, if you're doing like a C Mjolnir, you should probably drop it sooner rather than later, just so that way you have your C normals and everything. All right, And backdash. Yes. So that was a really good ABC just to get the invuln through the projectile. It doesn't work against every projectile, but because I threw B Fenrir, it worked really well. The B Fenrir would have hit him if he wasn't. I don't know if iframes even came into it. I think it was just like the fastest way to close the distance, actually. But I could be wrong. Yeah, so once again, dive kick, just like being so good in this matchup. You need to aim your dive kick for their like toes. Oh, that's so much damage. But like you can't be deterred. You're gonna get hit by Fenris or Fritz. You have to like accept that you're going to get hit sometimes and just take crazy risks anyways. So yeah, you can see so this is a pretty interesting situation. Can I do like dot? No, I can do slow motion is what I can do. So he blocks that, and then I do Freya, the super whiffs, presumably because it came out too far forward and because of edge of the stage shenanigans. And then you see there, he walked into the Freya. That's because he was at super full range, so, and he's kind of thin, so he actually didn't hit the Freya until he walked forward. You have to keep that in mind when you're playing against Mycale. That C Freya isn't going to do anything until you touch it. And you can be out of range of it. Nice parries by him. I just deciding to release the Mjolnir at a usual time, and he parried it. And so, when you have an A Mjolnir setup, oh, I'm rewinding way too far. When you have an A Mjolnir setup like this, like I noticed, oh, he's full screen. I have a B Freya up, so he can't really move forward. If I set up Mjolnir and he jumps over the Freya, I'll be able to drop it on him. Okay, he jumped. Great. I'll just release the Mjolnir and I'll plan on him blocking it and do a Freya that's underneath him. So B Freya again. And it just ended up being that. I think if he pressed C, honestly, I might have gotten hit. Like jump C. But instead, he gets this juicy 2-hit combo. And then backdash. Yes, so one thing I haven't really mentioned about Mycale is that her dashes are just so incredibly important to her gameplay that like you need to really be mobile with your jump kicks and your dashes, because that's going to be how you get a lot of your opportunities. You can't sit in the back and just spam projectiles the whole time. You have to like take the field at a certain point. Like once your opponent gets close to you, you have to like take the fight to them and fight your way out of the corner a little bit, you know? So that way you can keep your mobility. The real death of Mycale comes when you just start standing still the whole time. And of course, since it's Fritz, you have to remember that all his options are very slow. So like, even if you're minus a little bit, it's still worth it to press buttons because all his moves are just so slow. Like, so for example, here in this situation, or not this situation, it was further back, but in a situation earlier on, I mashed on him. You really have to mash on Fritz in order to make sure he doesn't take advantage of stuff that he shouldn't. And he didn't tech here, so I was like, okay, that means I can do whatever. I'll just keep meeting him, but for now, but I'll keep that in mind. And it also meant that I was getting extra damage off that stuff. And he teched there, which kind of surprised me. Nice safe jump, but he still fought his way out. But yeah, see that what I'm doing here, I'm keeping close range and just staggering my buttons. He can't really do that much against staggered buttons like that. Like all of Mycale's stuff is pretty safe on block and like not that negative. So even at like the B range, like if you just keep to your whatever buttons you're at range for, either A or B, you'll be like 0 or plus, and you'll be able to just stagger him to death. And yeah, every time you're plus by a bit, you just like throw another spell out and make sure you mix up your options. A spear is a very good standby for being plus like that, but like the more different spells you use, the more opportunity you have for them to be out of their comfort zone and make mistakes. Oh my god, I can't believe he won that round. I thought for sure I had it. But that's Fritz for you. He's kind of a good character like that. Yeah, and that was a bad B, Freya. Maybe it's not as good as I was hoping. So yeah, I've been kind of glossing over this sort of situation. So let's see here. This is a 2C situation. They're also kind of similar, the like throw and 2C and everything. But he doesn't tech. And I did like B Freya or something. B or C Gugnir, which is the spear. And then I did a close Mjolnir. I was like, if he blocks that, he's gonna go into that, and then I can do a fire. And if all this hits, it combos. But even if he blocks it all, you just have to kind of accept certain good players just aren't going to get mixed up by this. So there's no mix-up. There's no high-low. It's just reflector or not. And so they didn't reflect, so you take your guard bar damage in your situation, your good situation, where he's at far in the screen. Like, you just map out your, like, meaties, so that way you're converging as many spells as you can. And hopefully it hits, and if it doesn't, then like you try and build the situation out. You can see here, I see that we're back in neutral, so I'm back to dive kicking. You don't really want to do your like Mjolnirs and Gugnirs while you're in actual neutral. You really want to save that for like when you're in a situation already, when you're already plus or they're reacting to something else. As you can see here, I'm like doing very like protective spells. B Fenrir and A Freya. So yeah. Now this is bad. He blocks that. That's safe. Me Beador was talking about that. But just 2C, I got counter hit. Nice. Okay. So I checked his forward approach with the C Fenrir, with the Freya, and then I was like, okay, I'm at least plus enough to throw another Fenrir. And what happens? All right, so the other thing I wanted to mention, you remember how I said earlier that C Fenrir, or C Freya doesn't actually reach full screen? The same goes for Fritz's 5C. It's just barely not long enough to reach actually full screen. So because he was pushed back to the back of the screen by the Freya, which he might not have even noticed in time, he was actually full screen, so therefore 5C whiffed. Yeah, he kind of walked into the Freya, so it definitely pushed him all the way back to full screen. All right, so this is grand finals, me versus Scrub Saiba again. Actually, you know what? I kind of want to go over his match with Vola. Oh man, this is a chunker of a match. Okay, so we're gonna watch Scrub versus Vola, just to get all the Fritz notes out. So yes, after like that's a really ideal situation for Fritz to be in, is to like triple jab you out of range. That way he can start using his B and C normals again. If you block a like 2C, Fritz's 2C at very close range, it's punishable. But it has such ridiculous range. Fritz usually doesn't want to do that. This is really good zoning pressure. I liked the mixing up the timings, but the thing is, like, no matter how good your zoning is in this game, like if you have good zoning patterns, the options of just jump and reflect and walk forward and reflector are just so powerful that like any zoning character, you really need to either use your options that are unreactable for reflector really well, or like she has laser. Nice parry. Oh, and that's jumping. Or you just need to counter their approach with like anti-airs and your normals and stuff, which Vola's doing a good job of here. That anti-air 5C is pretty effective. Yeah, and you can't be afraid of the sword that Fritz has. You have to like fight back. You have to like push him back constantly in this sort of matchup. So yeah, okay. So that was a really good way to counteract Vola's safe pressures, just like 2C'ing at the right range. Because Vola's standing up the whole time. Like, she's just standing up so much. And that time just caught Vola being too aware of the other options, just getting a raw jump in. Maybe a parry now. Oh my god, another on reaction fireball punish. He's been practicing that. But yeah, the laser is good as Perfecti. And you need to get better at it. That's just something that'll come with time. Like, it's pretty much the same round trip or zero Mega Buster sort of input where you need to constantly be holding down a button, decide which one you don't want to use. But at close range, I guess you don't do that. It's more like when you're already setting up Ronsmix and doing fireballs and stuff. I do like her choice of air normals here. And the A fireballs are really scary. As Fritz, like, you have to parry them on reaction or else you're just going to lose the game through chip. Not even get an opportunity. Oh, that was so close. You needed to punish that. Oh, this is going to be a cool combo. Oh, not quite. I like the dash combo that Vola's been doing. And that dash is really cool too. Where she like turns invincible for a second. And just really out footseeing with the 5Cs. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you have to respect that at this sort of range, it's not really safe to just throw a fireball willy-nilly. So, like, you're better off just, like, playing his game and trying to punish his moves, especially with 7 seconds left. Like, Fritz actually has trouble making stuff happen if you just play solid. Like, here he's doing good stuff, but you have to keep in mind, Vola's not getting that. So there's something that's important here. He's not teching that, so that's why this pressure is happening. He's not teching. This one, okay, maybe not that one was untechable, but you should have teched that. So sometimes when he does 2B, 2C, it's untechable if the second hit hits as you're touching the ground. But it wasn't in that case. How do I ban people? Oh, there it is. There we go. Sorry about that. Nice air to air by Scrub Saibot. So, Fritz's jump B is actually like kind of slow for an air move. It has amazing range, but it's kind of slow, so you have to make sure you press it early in the air if you want to air with it. It's kind of hard to do. 5B is good. I don't use 5B that much because you have to let go of down back, and I like holding down back. The jumping a lot is very good as against Fritz. Like I was talking about earlier, like he has to do jump B in order to like get you, but because he has to do it preemptively if he wants to anti-air, it's kind of like you have to do it on prediction, or else you're going to lose the air to air if you both press the button at the same time. So, and yeah, dive kick, he has like a tough time tracking down unless you, like you saw with my match, if you parry it and then go for 2C, you can punish it sometimes. And so right there, we saw Scrub Silot try to react to Vola's button with ABC. I'm sure Scrub Silot expected Vola to do a fireball, and that's why he pressed ABC. So Vola's just doing a good job of making sure that he's not doing those committal moves. Like I said, just playing kind of safe in neutral, just by focusing on using your normals to shut down Fritz rather than using your special moves. Like at this sort of full screen range, you can afford to be a little bit less careful, but still 5C will cut you sometimes. And good lasers here. Good way to keep him out. Scrub Cybot deciding to play very patient this round. Oh my god, that jump C was just like... The thing is, like, at the range that he was at, the jump C actually meant that Vola didn't have any way of punishing him, and... Like, Vola didn't have any moves that would reach him while this jump C was charging up. A great jump range again from Scrub Cybot. Like, it's so important to not let Fritz jump like this. Like, Fritz's ground game is really good, but like if you start letting him have an air game too, then it turns really ugly. Oh, he kicked him out of the air. Yeah, it's timeout. So like I was talking about at the very beginning, Scrub seems like he changed his style to more match Vola's style, where, oh no, it's okay, I don't need to rush this. Like, you may be pressuring me with chip and everything, but it's honestly not dealing that much chip or guard damage. So like if I just stay at full screen and just like really wait for my opportunity, it'll come. And here's where jump-ins come in really handy. Since Fritz's moves are all so committal, like if you just happen to jump at the right time, you'll get a full punish on it. So that's one of the reasons why jumping is so good against Fritz. You have to like try to, if you can bait, it's kind of like every time Fritz presses a button, it's as committal as a Hadoken. Like it's like he's pressing a special move button, which is why they actually deal chip. Those sword normals. Oh my god, forward dash? That was such a weird forward dash. Something that I think that Fritz's command dashes are actually just better than his forward dash in terms of like total duration and distance. I could be wrong, but either way, I definitely recommend using more B command dash instead of normal dash whenever you can start training your fingers to do it. Oh boy. And yeah, I kind of agree with the option to do a level 3 super off of a reflector combo, even though it'll be prorated to hell. It's like you're just having trouble finding a way to spend meter effectively as Perfecti, so it's as good a way as any, honestly. Just because her ABC is so hard to land, and her other supers are they're okay in combos, but I think that's fine. You get like basically 3.5k off of your ABC. Oh boy. Oh boy. So this is once again what I'm talking about. When you're playing against Fritz, part of why these situations become so bad is because you're missing the techs. There it is. Okay, that tech got you out of there, so you couldn't just 5C you for free. You need to make sure you hit the techs. That way you don't get don't give Fritz more frames to work with on his meaty. And Jumpy will do it. So, yeah, both of them deciding to take to the air. Scrub Cybot being ready for it, though. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, taking to the air is really good against Fritz, but it's partially because he's easy to anti-air and he can't safe jump, so you can always reflector his jump-ins. He only has one low, too, so you can, like, pretty safely stand reflect against a jumping in Fritz. Oh, not quite enough right spacing to get a combo. That combo is kind of, or is very spacing dependent, the jump B combos. Just depends on like vertical spacing and stuff. And doing a great job playing with the Rans mix pressure and doing neutral jumps. But just doing it a little bit too much and not using the dive kick enough. But then you use the dive kick and you get chased down by 5C. Scrub Cybot's playing well. Jab, not good. Jab, yeah. They're both doing a good job using their jabs at close range. 5C, good pokers. I'm agreeing with everything I'm seeing here. On both sides, actually. It's fine to just sit here and let Perfecti do stuff and let the time run out as Fritz. You have tons of time. You don't even need to get worried about it yet. I do like how Perfecti is handling the pressure, but oh, got hit by the 5C. Oh, I liked that, but you needed to actually get your meaty. Vola. Alright, and now we're back to full screen. Again, missing techs. Like, every time your opponent misses a tech Vola, I need to see a Rons mix. Like, he's missing too many techs for you not to get Rons mixes. Although, the time is running out, and that's probably what you're playing off of. Oh my gosh, but if that is, but then you can't press the button in the air like that. Alright, just counter poke him. Good idea. Yeah, when the time starts running out, the opponent starts doing worse things. Bad ideas, just because they're desperate. Alright, just keeping him out. I love this combo. Alright, good shit. Ooh, actually landing the combo. I wish I could do that. I keep whiffing that combo. So I don't even go for it anymore. I just use my BC to live. Use my super meter to do my command dashes. Again, getting that laser combo. I love it. Oh no. Yeah, and that's invincible. And that's invincible, the backdash. And yeah, Scrub Cybot getting accustomed to... I told everybody to jump against Fritz, and he's starting to really counteract that, so... Like, the other reason that jump is really good against Fritz is that if he's trying to do that anti-air, then it's very easy to... If you stay on the ground to anti-air him. Like, you're basically trying to get him to try to anti-air you, so that way you can stay on the ground and punish him. Okay. So now... Plug, and we started playing. Okay. So, Mycale versus Fritz again. He's kind of giving me full screen, so like Against Perfecti, that's like okay to do. I feel like against Mycale, it's not the best thing. As Fritz, you probably, yeah, you want this range where your 2C is online, your 2B is online. Yeah, that's, and the other thing is like you have to very much pay attention to the frame data of where you're plus. I love that 4B. I wish I could do it more often. I'm so bad at it. All right, yeah. I'm just trying to. Stu's just trying to. I don't know what to call myself. Yeah. Now that I have breathing room, I don't have that much health, but I'm still trying to save the round. Just do random super. If he pressed a button during that time, it would have got him punished by the super. So it's kind of panicky though. I wish I didn't do it. And I was honestly surprised that he hit me there, but it is what it is. Yeah, 2C at round start, that's just life as playing against Fritz. If you're not crouch blocking, you're just dead. Or you're just hit, I guess. But again, I hit the tech, the ground tech, so that's why he didn't get like good pressure off of me because of that. Otherwise, he would have been able to do meaty 5C. And here I'm like going, okay, I remember I was just able to do the stagger pressure against him. I'm just going to keep it going. Yeah, so like this sequence here, I'm just like stagger pressure into Freya, into more stagger. And oh, look, his guard bar is breaking, so he panicked, so I get a combo. And he did one too many reflects there, so now I get to continue my pressure. And even though you're oh, I can't believe that whiffed. Even though you're minus after Freya, Fritz just doesn't have any fast options at that range. All his options are pretty slow, so 2B is still like safe to counter poke with. Oh, don't like that trade. Now I'm in the corner. Oh, and I missed my combo, so I go for the meaties. That's one thing I oftentimes just miss the combo off of, or it just whiffs for another reason because it's kind of spacing dependent. Combos off of reflector. Mycale's combos off of reflector are just weird, so I often go for like meaty C spear or meaty mace, so that way I don't just overextend. And I'm trying to find a way to spend level 3 here. I'm surprised that it armor broke. He had almost full guard bar before I did the ABC. I was surprised that it worked that way. But I was very pleased. I was hoping it would hit. Yeah, every time somebody command dashes at you as a zoner, like they're forced to eat the situation afterwards, so you have to take control of it. You can't just let them get in for free. You have to say, "Hey, you're dashing into me. You're basically knocking yourself down. I'm going to try to meaty you, either with a throw or with a button, or just like some other bad situation like dive kick or whatever." Oh, that was a really high dive kick. Should not have done that, but yeah, the C normals, yeah. So watch why this C normal works. We're at this range, right? He walks backwards. I'm noticing he didn't press B, so I just like, oh, he attacked. Yeah, okay. You gotta take advantage of your C normals. Look at, I pressed C twice in there, and immediately after I pressed C there and it hit, I summon the Mjolnir, because that builds out the situation and lets us start really playing our game. Like, if he lets himself get hit by the Mjolnir, great. If he doesn't, and he just instead takes all that chip, great. And like I said, with the command dash, you cannot let him get away with it for free. So there you go. I meatied him with the throw that time. Good fire. Yeah, and a Fenrir trades with the 5C, which is always weird. Mycale's projectiles disappear after you hit with them, or after you get hit. So trading with them is always really lucky. All right, 2C. Oh, punish. Yeah, once again, Mycale's dashes are super important. Your dash and your dive kick are like how you move around the screen, so you really need to master them. Yeah, deciding to dash forward. If I dash forward twice there, I would have gotten underneath him, and that's like, dash is just so incredible against Fritz, because as soon as you get like underneath him and in a B situation, a situation where he's trying to attack you with jump B, like you get to just punish him with a huge juicy punish. But yeah, that's the sort of situation you can't be in. It's just like being pestered by B normals in the corner. At the B normal, you want to be in your B normals range, not his B normals range. Like, he was so close there, like, and I keep keeping, it's either I want him at full screen or I want him in my face. One of those two things. And see there, he got too close again, so I managed to do the dash forward. Like, he wants to get that close, that way he can threaten with like throw and stuff, but I don't think you should be that close to Mycale. I think you should be mostly playing like a more mid-range in those knockdown situations. You have to remember that, like, if your opponent is teching every ground hit, then you don't get to do meaties as much with Fritz, so you have to kind of play him more like just a win neutral character. Like there, see, I was able to trade with him because he was too aggressive. Once again, just trying to get behind him while he's jumping. Get behind Fritz. And yeah, just messing with the spacing, making sure that he doesn't get to dictate the whole match. And just pestering with those B normals at that perfect range, at Mycale's perfect range, trying to stay too close for Fritz to get comfortable. Either too close or too far away. You don't want him to be in that like perfect range. And I just don't respect Fritz's when they're that close. Like, when they're close enough that their like close normals come into play, like right now, if he 2Bs, he's not going to get a giant sword slash. He's going to kick me. And that's just not that bad. I don't care. Or he could jab me. Or he could throw me. He could also 4C technically, but it's kind of slow. So like if I just like see it happening, I can react to it. But he also hasn't shown that much 4C, so I'm not that worried about it. I can just jab out of the situation because he's so close to me. And yeah, he went for a throw. He was a little bit late, and so he got punished by the jab. I'm just not that afraid of him when he's that close. I'd much rather just like fight out of it rather than try and like eat the throw or something. I want to run my pace. I don't want him to have his pace. Oh my god. But every once in a while that'll happen. If like you get too predictable with your pressure, they can always reflector out of it. So you need to make sure you mix it up. I definitely was getting too predictable with doing 2-1 E2Bs and 2-1 4As. And anti-air. Oh, there's the 4C. And throw. He didn't tech. So I did, but I didn't predict it, so I didn't get anything bonus. Oh, I messed up the command dash punish. Or not punish, but meaty. And just wait. Yep. I was like, I remember looking at the life lead during that last like 15 seconds and being like, oh, it's so close. I think if I just chip him a little bit, I'll be fine. And so I chipped him and then blocked, and then we were fine. Because like Fritz really has a tough time forcing a mix up on you. Like, he's got the full screen overhead in 5C, but it's kind of reactable, and because I've been moving around so much, you can't just like reliably hit it. And so you're like trying to catch him walking with a 2C, or you're just jumping in with jump B, and just hoping you hit them. If they block a lot, you're just like kind of rough. And then like I have a tendency to also press C normals to make sure that they can't just walk up and throw me too. So, but yeah, good shit to everybody who played in that tournament. That was a lot of fun, and I hope people learned something useful from that. Have a great day.